Hi, guys. The theme of this talk is what every Christian and every seeker should know about yogic meditation. Today, when we think of the term yoga, we usually think of yoga classes. We think of hatha yoga, which is essentially a series of stretches, and there is oftentimes a short period of meditation at the beginning or usually at the end, such as shavasana, corpse pose, laying down and completely relaxing, and enabling the mind and body to be still. While this is a very valuable technique and certainly is something that caps off the yoga practice at the end, it's really just the very tip of the iceberg when it comes to yogic meditation, which is the real meaning of the word yoga. So that when we say yoga, it really should imply meditation. This is true, we see if we go back to the early Sanskrit, the use of the term in the Vedas and so on, which is where the term originates, and we see that it literally implies union, divine union, so the goal of meditation. So if we are individuals who are seeking some way of calming the mind, or as St. Paul put it, taking every thought captive, then we should be very curious about the power of yoga and the practice as it's been given to us through master yogis, including Christ himself. Now, this might seem contentious to some, but if we do the research, if we go very deep, and even if we consider the words of Christ when he said, "My yoke is easy and my burden is light," the Sanskrit would be, "My yoga is easy, my burden is light." So as we begin to discover these practices which are universal and scientific and also devotional, we begin to realize that we have this power in us to begin to really quiet the senses, quiet the mind, and focus on exactly one thought at a time. As we do that, our prayers will become 10 times stronger, quite literally, and we'll be able to go much further in our devotional life. I found this to be true for myself. I was raised by two parents, both of whom were pastors at some point in their career. My mother, a Methodist pastor, and my father, something Baptist along those lines. And it was very intriguing for me to begin to practice yoga, that is hatha yoga, in college, and to find the benefits of it not only in my body but in my mind. And during that time, I was going through quite a lot. I began to experience quite a bit of anxiety and some depression. And as I went deeper with my hatha yoga practice, it seemed to help. But after that, I went deeper with my yogic meditation practice, and that helped a great deal. Hence, this video and series of videos here on YouTube and even some of my writings. For example, A Fish in Water Athirst, The Globe-Trotting Adventures of a Meditating Angler and Diver, is soon to come out in its second edition. Also, my book, The Simplest Meditation, Self-Inquiry for Healing the Whole Person, is a basic approach to self-inquiry, a yogic technique which allows us to discover the true power of the mind and to tap that source as we gain greater insight and greater power in the technique, the simple technique of stilling the mind. One way that we can do that, one of the basic ways, is by counting breaths or just watching the breaths as they come in and out of the nostrils and mouth. And we can practice that in a few minutes. We'll do a very simple breath work practice. This is something that I've been using. I was teaching at a couple of charter schools in the last year, and I was able to employ that in my math classes, and that was very helpful for math anxiety, not only for the students, but for any that I might have felt as well. And we were able to go much deeper with that. So I thought that I might just take a quick break here and see if I could come up with something, a paragraph from one of these pages that might seem valuable to you. As we learn to shift our identification from the raw personality to the pure mind as silent witness, we beat the ego at its own game and reclaim the energy it diverts and builds an identity around. If we want to be authentic, to be whole, we have to learn to respond to the light that is all the time shining within. So obviously, if we're very distracted and running after many external thoughts, it's much more difficult for us to go within and see that power that's in the mind to really focus very deeply on one thought And then as that thought becomes very, very single-pointed, the mind begins to feel within itself its true powers, this potency of focus, which ultimately knows no limits. We see in the yogis of all traditions, from Christ to Patanjali to others, these powers of healing, these powers even of resurrecting the dead, which are penned by the saints themselves. How can we doubt them? So it's both scientific and devotional. That meets right at the center. And for a little taste of that joy that the sages feel in their deepest meditation, let's pause now and take a few breaths together, shall we? Breathing in and out. We'll just take 2 or 3 breaths together. In and out. You can choose to focus at the point between the eyebrows. Breathing in, bringing a little smile to our face, and out. Last breath. So as we go deeper in this process of understanding the power of yoga and meditation and recognizing the universality of this process, it really is about technique more than it is about dogma or dogmatism. It's about seeing directly into the nature of consciousness and taking every thought captive, as St. Paul reminds us to do. If you've liked this content, please go ahead and share it with others that they might gain the benefit of this practice, this universal and very enriching practice, this very nurturing practice. And also, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.